Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing? Um, I hope you guys don't mind that it took until, I'm not even joking, until to like late this morning for me to figure out exactly how I wanted to do this stream. So I came up with a great idea though that I'm very excited to do right now. But yeah, so I received a bunch of flutes from the Flute Center. I asked the Flute Center to just send me a bunch of flutes again, revisiting some brands that I haven't looked at in a while because I want to see how they've updated their instruments, what new models they have, what new cuts they have. So I give a few, and one of them is Haynes, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So yeah, but I was sort of racking my head over like how to actually do like really nice cohesive streams. I don't want to stuff too many instruments in one stream. I notice that when I do that, I get really rushed and I don't really like that. So I want to make sure that I can really take my time with these instruments and really review them, to their full extent. I want to take suggestions from you guys of what I can play. I want to kind of incorporate the sight reading requests with these reviews. And you can't really do that if you have too many instruments that you're reviewing in one shot. So now, the idea that I came up with, because when I opened up this flute, I was like, okay, well, I just received these flutes yesterday. So I didn't even know what was coming in my door until yesterday. But I opened this flute up and I know that the first thing in my head was, wow, this looks a lot like my flute. So this is a Haynes custom 14 karat rose gold flute with silver mechanism. The Flute Center also sent me an extra head joint cut for me to try. There are 3 cuts in total for this Haynes custom flute. One cut is called, I believe, the Piedmont, the Nagog, and then the Stanhope. I hope I am saying those correctly. But I have never tried these cuts before. But yeah, it looks very similar to my flute. So what I was thinking of, because every time I have tried a Haynes, in the back of my mind, I've always been like, wow, this is just like, feels like a bigger version of my own flute. Like if I was literally taller, slightly bigger, I might have actually gone with the Haynes. So I do have my head joint and my B foot joint here just to try and make things as similar as possible. The only thing that isn't quite so similar though is the fact that this whole flute is 14K, whereas my flute's body and foot joint are 10K rose gold. So I have my foot joint here. Oh dear, did I not actually? Oh right, my head joint is here. Oh, too many things here. Okay. There's a box very precariously now on the floor. But yeah, I believe my Brannon head joint is with my Trevor James flute. Yeah, it is. Perfect. So, I was thinking that the first half of this stream, which is probably going to take a good hour and a half to 2 hours, we're just going to be playing with this Haynes custom flute, and just playing with it, really getting a good idea of how it works. And then I was thinking in like the last hour-ish, I would pop out my flute and actually do a direct comparison, because it's always been in the back of my mind, like, this feels like a bigger version, but I've never actually done an actual direct comparison. So that is what I am, excited to do. So anyway, I just wanted to pop in here to give you that little intro as to what we are doing today. So I did not put in the title that we are comparing this against my own flute because it made the title way too long. So I want the title to be very searchable for you guys, so that when you guys search through my videos and you're searching for a very specific, like, cut and like, flute, etc., the brand, I want it to be very like easy for you guys to find. And it'll just be a bonus for anyone who actually watches the stream, like you guys in the chat, that you guys now know that I'm going to be comparing it in the last hour against my own flute. So Yes, Haynes versus Brandon. Dun dun dun. Okay, it's not really a versus. It's more of like a this is sating my own curiosity. I had this curiosity for a really long time. Like we're talking I have had this thought in my head for years now, like probably a decade now. I have been thinking to myself, like, Haynes always feels like just like a bigger version of my own flute. So I gotta get that clickbait title. You guys. Okay. So anyway, that's how I wanted to start off the stream, was just to tell you guys, I am sorry that I did not get out, like I didn't schedule this stream out earlier. It's because I was racking my brain over what to do. And then I only actually came up with this idea today. Like I've been like really toiling over it. Like I don't want it to be a random stream. Like there's a good selection of flutes here, but like, cause there's actually 2 other flutes waiting for me to review next week. And I think those ones will work very nicely in a 3-hour time frame for those 2 flutes plus 2 extra head joints. But like, I was like, 1 flute with 1 extra head joint is not going to be enough for a whole stream. And then I was like, but wait a minute. This is a Haynes and it looks so much like my flute. I should actually do my comparison for now. Like finally. But anyway, let me say hello to you guys. So we're doing roll call here. Hello, Amir. It's so good to catch you here. Amir, Victor, Jay Shu, Ryan, Adrian, Nicholas, hello. Just Another Flute Guy. Phantom, hello. Are you the only one who puts patches and stickers all over the case and even at keychains? No, absolutely you are not. My old flute case had like little stickers and stuff on it. Personally, I am a big fan of seeing everyone's like personalizations of their cases and stuff like that. I actually used to make my my planners. So okay, I guess this just speaks to how old I am, because nobody uses physical planners these days. People do physical journals, but no one does like actual physical planners anymore. Anyway, I used to collage the front of it, and then what you do is you put clear duct tape over it to sort of like laminate it. It's like poor man's lamination. And so yeah, I used to like just collage the heck out of it. So it had often had stuff from Narnia, Lord of the Rings, like my friends, my family, people important to me. So I just sort of like collaged the front of all of my planners. And I would be ecstatic if someone decided to collage their flute case. That would be amazing. If any of you do that, please post a photo of it on Instagram or Twitter or something, and or Facebook, and like tag me, please. I would love to see it. Hello, Victor. Victor, did I say hi to you? I think I did. You were one of the earlier ones, weren't you? Hello, Mocker. How are you? You're on break for wind ensemble rehearsal. Wonderful. And I'm a huge inspiration for you. Thank you. That's so sweet of you to say. Hey, Henry. Hello, hello. Adrian, you want to hear some Herman Beef Tank? I do love me some Herman Beef Tank. Herman Beef Tank is great. Oh yeah, definitely going for some I can't say it. Sinfonische Canzone by Kargaler. Of course, you guys. Hello, Mateo. How are you? Hello, Susie. Okay, so the Stanhope cut is the new one. Got it. Because I had heard through the grapevine like some of these cuts, because various students have been trying instruments and stuff like that. So I've heard about these cuts, but I've never actually tried them for myself. So Ryan, you're asking if the Trevor James copper alloy is good. You're putting a down payment on one. That's fantastic. I personally really love it. It's my backup flute. What I have found though is that you either like your body either loves it or does not agree with it. Personally, I have not really had an experience with a student who like either wasn't completely in love with it or was like, like, no, this does not fit me. No one's ever written the line in the middle of like, oh yeah, it's fine, like I could make it work. It's your body loves it or you don't agree with it. So I'm one of the ones who loves it. So it is actually my backup flute, because it plays very similarly to my my main flute, the Brannon. Yeah. So should I do a YouTube video of my collection of instruments? I probably should actually do an updated one, because y'all keep giving me instruments. Because a bunch of you guys have now become flute makers yourselves. You know, like clay flutes, like passion flutes. So I've got 3 from Passion Flute. I myself bought a Dietze. My student gave me a different Dietze. One of you guys gave me the Nouveau flute and the Nouveau toot. Yeah, so it's like I actually need to get different storage solutions now. Like it's actually getting out of hand. Like it does not actually fit in this trunk back here anymore. Like all of my flutes used to fit in there, but they don't. It has now just leaked all over my desk now. Like flutes just leaking everywhere. So, oi. All right, who else is in here? Brenda, hello. Michael, hello. Jennifer, hello. Donna, hello. You use both physical and iPhone planners. That's so lovely. Writing things helps you remember things better. Absolutely. Okay, I think I got everyone. If I have missed you, I do not actually mean to do so. It's just sometimes it's a little bit hard to actually catch everyone coming into the chat. So, okay. You use Amir, you use the closet space as your instrument space. I love it. You put them between clothes so it's less exposed to the weather. That's really smart. Hey team, how are you? Hello Carter. Hello. So you can't decide between a traditional or a wave cut. So personally, I've noticed that like if you mostly play the flute but you want to dabble in some piccolo, most flute mains tend to prefer a wave cut, because it's sort of like, you know, it kind of helps you, helps the airstream feel a little closer to that of a flute. But if you are a piccolo main, I noticed that most piccolo mains really love the traditional cut. But you do play them very differently. Like your mouth has to kind of hold itself quite differently. So it just kind of depends on if you're like a piccolo dabbler or if you're a piccolo main. That's what I've noticed at least. So, yeah. Flute guy is the outlier. Yeah. Yeah, you like the traditional cut, don't you? It's like for the most part, at least like from what I have noticed, is that that usually is mostly the case here. So you're mostly clarinet player. Well, Carter, you're just gonna have to figure that out then. You're gonna have to try both and see how it works for you. Yeah. Wishing you luck, Ryan. You got this. Everyone wish Toadstool VR all the luck and good vibes for their all region rehearsal and concert on Saturday. Yeah. Exactly. See, like, even though Just Another Flute Guy here prefers the traditional, the wave cut is definitely easier if you're not a piccolo player. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I would say that I personally am a piccolo dabbler. So I don't think it's a surprise that I have a wave cut as well. It's like a carved lip plate and wave cut on my Nagahara Mini. It just feels so much closer to how I normally play on the flute. So, yeah. My statement can be backed up by Sarah Jackson of LA Phil and Cindy Ellis, both piccolo queens. Hell yeah. I'm not just spouting things out of my butt. I love it. That just, I made the observation myself too. I was like, oh yeah, wave cut seems to work better if you're a dabbler. So, okay. shall we get started then? Excuse me, I just had some phlegm stuck in the back of my throat. You know how it like makes your voice go really weird? Okay, so we have here in front of us the Haynes custom flute, and it is, let me show you guys, it is in a Haynes Weissman branded Weissman case. Isn't that so cool? I was so surprised to see that like they actually got a Haynes Weissman brand, like branded little, what do you call this? Branded thingy on the case. It's like official. Isn't that so cool? They did a collab on all custom flutes. Ah, that's why. So I was really, really surprised to see that when I opened it up. I was like, that is so cool. So for those of you guys who don't know what is so special about a Weissman case, they are special because they suspend your flute. They hold your flute and suspend the flute instead of just letting the flute lay in the case. So a more typical case would be like my Trevor James one. So let me open that up to show you guys for anyone who's watching this and are like, what do you mean? So we have here, I'll just put this over there. So this is our Weissman case here, and you'll notice that because it suspends the flute, just kind of, you see here like this holds the flute here. This tendon is actually slotted inside of like a little hole here, and then this is actually sitting on top of a, so it's kind of held in here, but you see it's actually, there's a little piece of foam that you actually slot into the, like slot the foot joint onto it. And then same here, there is a, I just popped this up earlier. Oh, there we go. So there's a little hole in here where my finger is going in, where you slide the head joint into, and then you pop this in here, and then these pieces hold up the flute. And what happens then is that you can go like this and it doesn't fall out like at all. So that's the very special thing about Weissman cases. It really protects the flute very well. So if you're bringing your flute around a lot for gigs and stuff like that, this will actually keep your flute in better condition. Your mechanism won't be banged around as much and stuff like that as you're bringing it around. However, these cases are very expensive, but I do love the fact that they did a collab with custom Haynes flutes. So that's wonderful. I think that's fantastic. If you're going to get such an expensive flute, I think it's really nice to make sure that it is well protected. So there's that, but let me just close this really quickly. So it closes with like little buckles right here. It's just like, there's like a little bit of Velcro and snap buttons here. So let me do that really quickly. Cool. So just putting that on the side so that I can open this up for you guys. So this is kind of your more typical case, or typical style, that is. I wouldn't say that most cases are really nice wood like this. So as you can see, like this case is made very well, like, because it is actually made in such a way. Do you see how like when I do this and I pop it up, that it's actually like, I actually think this case kind of actually very slightly suspends the flute. But usually it's just kind of laying in here. So same thing. This one is just straight up laying in here. You see that? Like it's just laying in there. So this is kind of your more typical case. I do have my Mateki here. See, flute's just leaking all over the place. Absolutely just freaking leaking all over the place. Okay. I'll show you guys my Mateki. The Mateki, I think, is like a very, very, very typical French style flute case. So let me show this to you guys. Here we go. Yeah, this is very, very typical. This is actually very old, extremely old. I would hazard a guess that this is actually older than some of you guys watching this stream. You know, in fact, I think it might actually, it may be, is it older than me? I don't know. I'm not sure. I actually should go and ask Mateki. But you see how like it's just laying in there. You see that? It's just laying in there. So it's not actually being like kind of like held and suspended. Same thing here. There's nothing kind of like suspending the foot joint in there. Same thing with the head joint. Yeah. So this is more your typical case. But this Haynes one that we have here is the Weissman one, which is super awesome, super cool. Okay, so enough about the case. Let's open her up. Okay, wonderful. So what I see here, wooden cleaning rod, very typical. So let's now take out the flute. The first thing I noticed, by the way, for both of these head joints is how top heavy they are. They're very, very heavy on this side, which may actually be really fantastic for sort of rebalancing the flute in your hands. I found that very interesting. So who knows? Maybe it might make the whole B foot joint situation a lot easier for me. So, okay, here we go. So taking out all of our parts, and because I have limited space, I'm just going to put this off to the side. All right, so we have our beautiful flutes here. You can see better in this lighting than in the thumbnail picture that I just took earlier. You can see how, well, like, what a nice rose gold color that is. That is so pretty. So this is a slightly deeper gold than my flute is, so we'll do comparison in just a bit. Let me actually put the flute together. Yeah, B-foot joints just feel absolutely massive to me now. Just proper massive. Okay, and then we will, yeah, very top heavy. And well, let's take a look at the cuts. I'm very curious now about these cuts. Let's do this, and then we're going to do a nice close-up, and let's see what we can see about these. I'll focus it, guys. Give me a sec. Okay, wonderful. So these are the cuts that we're working with. Interesting. You can actually see a difference. I almost want to say, I feel like this one's bigger. Just like straight bigger. Oh, that's so interesting. So this one, the 14KS here, I believe is a Stanhope. Is that right? And then this is the PTRN. So this is PTRs because this one has platinum in it. Ooh, we got platinum in here. So yeah, this one is the Nagog. Am I saying it right? Nagog head joint, Nagog cut. This one is a Stanhope cut. And apparently the Stanhope is the newer one. But yeah, I think the Stanhope is actually straight bigger. That's wild. It's wider, right? Yeah, so this one on the right is Stanhope. This one on the left is the Nagog. This one has, so the one on the left, which is the Nagog cut, this one is platinum, so 14K rose gold tubing, 14 karat rose gold lip plate. So those are the parts that you guys can see very well. But the riser is platinum. And 14 gold crown. These are all 0.012 inch tubing, which is, from my understanding, 0.014, I believe, is your typical standard wall. So, but I believe for Haynes, this is their standard. And then the 0.014, I believe, is their, would be their heavy wall. But yeah, so very, very thin tubing, 0.012 inch tubing. Let's see. So it is a pretty penny. So as of February 2025, the Nagog cut, so this one on the left, is going for $9,665, probably because of the platinum riser. But with the purchase of a flute, so if you were to purchase this along with a custom flute, then you would be adding $1,005 to the cost of your custom flute in order to get it. So the one on the right is the Stanhope. And this one is 14 karat rose gold tube, 14 karat rose gold lip plate, riser, and crown. So it's 14K rose gold all around. Also 0.012 inch tubing. So compared to other flutes, very thin wall. Yeah, and this one's the Stanhope cut. And alone is going for 8,660. If you get the Stanhope with the with a custom Haynes flute, it actually just straight up comes with it. So that is leading me to think that maybe I should actually start the review with the Stanhope cut. So I'm gonna put the one with the platinum riser off to the side, and we will put this together. So let me zoom this back out again. There we go. Okay, so I'll put this together. And don't worry guys, I did switch out my ring to the silicone one. So always make sure that if you guys are trying flutes, make sure that if you are gonna wear a ring, have it be silicone so it doesn't scratch the flute. Especially if you're just trying it because you do not own the flute yet. Okay. Wow, looking at the lip cut from here, it's just from at a glance, I'm already like, holy cow, that is very square. It's very square and huge. My goodness. Okay, so let's put here that we're looking at this Stanhope one. Okay, so we're doing the Stanhope cut. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, Manuel, they are different. Yeah. So right now we're gonna look at the Stanhope cut. Dana thinks I'm gonna like the Stanhope one more. Hey, you guys should vote which one you guys think I will like more. Let's put this in I'll have you guys vote, and then I'll see what ends up happening. I'll put here, which cut do you think Joe will prefer, or Joe's mouth will prefer? Will I prefer the Stanhope or the Nagog? Okay, you guys can vote now, and we'll see what ends up happening. Hey, hey Saturday, how are you doing? Haynes Platinum head joint is very heavy. I would not be surprised because platinum is heavy. Oh, okay. So people are thinking Stanhope. Oh, now it's a 50-50. Now some people think, oh, all right, those, ooh. Oh, you guys are really, interesting. Interesting. Noelle, hello. I think I may have just missed you. How are you doing? Hello. And DG, hello. Welcome. You didn't miss much. We just started. Okay. Hello, Christine. Hello. Okay. We're going to do our normal, which is, some good harmonics, and just to like really warm up into this and see what we're working with. I'll put the other head joint here for you guys to oogle at. Does that sound good? Here, I'll even do this. You guys can oogle at this while I try the Stanhope. There we go. Okay. Ooh, wow. It's pretty close. You guys are pretty like 50-50 on which one you guys think I'm gonna like. Okay, let's do this. I need a stand, don't I? I think I need to stand. I was gonna do this like sitting down, but no, I think I need a stand. Oh, no, that's too far. There, let's do that. I don't have my slippers on right now, so. Okay, I'm just gonna play around now. We're gonna do some harmonics and see what happens. Okay, upon holding this is very heavy. I'm surprised that this is 0.012-inch tubing. I'm very surprised. Oh, wait, guys, I need to list out for you guys all the specs. Okay, give me a sec. Here, let me give you the guys the specs. So the specs are, and you guys can actually look. I found the link to this exact flute on the Flute Center website, which has all of these specs listed there. But I'll read it out to you guys anyway. So the 14 karat custom handmade is one of these head joints, which we already went over what they are, but let's see. So 14 karat rose gold body with sterling silver lightweight mechanism, Haynes pinless mechanism, soldered 14K rose gold tone holes and 14K rings. This one has silver ribs and posts. Uses the modern Haynes scale, French open hole model, pointed key arms, gold springs, Straubinger / Pisoni S2 pads, and then the 0.012-inch tubing, tuned at A = 442, which is very important because you want to be able to push in, pull out a little bit to kind of like, you know, because like weather, humidity, etc. Offset G, split E mechanism, C sharp trill, D sharp roller, B foot joint. So pretty much all the bells and whistles. But yeah, I am very surprised at just how how heavy this thing is. Ooh, very heavy. It's a weighty boy. Very mellow. I'm gonna actually roll it out just a hair. Very mellow. It feels, it's really warm and very mellow. Okay, it peaked out for a hot second. I'm just trying to find how high that air bubble needs to sit and how forward or how back it needs to sit. So I'm going to play with that for a while. Okay, it's very forward in the mouth. Good question about the resistance. It doesn't feel resistant. It more feels like I'm not putting enough air into it, which I don't think is a surprise given how large this lip hole is. I wonder if this lip hole is actually too big for me. Like, I feel like I have to like chug like a ton of air into this thing. So I do know that there are, you know, flutists out there who just naturally pump a lot of air into the flute. I'm wondering if like a cut like this would be much more comfortable then, where you won't feel like you have to limit the amount of air that comes out of you. Because at a certain point, like, yes, you want to be efficient with your air, but at a certain point, you know, if you're restricting too much, it can really hamper how you play. Yeah. Oh, you use so much air. You guys. Yeah. So like, but you know what I mean, right? Like at a certain point, yes, it's good to learn, you know, good efficiency with your air and, you know, not like blow everything, you know, like crazy and, you know, like be, you know, have more control, etc. So like it's good to know all of that stuff, but at a certain point, there's kind of this threshold of like, if you cross the threshold of like efficient playing into just straight up restricting yourself, it can really hamper your like ability to let go and express. Yeah. So your Powell is struggling. Yeah. Pass the point on no return. Yeah, exactly. So like, I think this is too much for me. I think. I'm sure this is going to sway the poll results now. But yeah, it doesn't feel resistant though. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, okay? Like it's not resistant. I feel like I'm too small to play this. It's heavy. This thing is only 0.012 inch tubing and it is like too heavy for me. Yeah. Oh man. Okay. I kind of think I'm right that like this is very close to how I play except too big for me. You know? Okay. All that talk was great because it made me really realize how much more space in my mouth I needed to make in order to play this flute. So you heard me get right up into that high C and it sounds really good now. Nice and big and open. And not resistant. My airstream was too thin for this. So like, I feel like I'm playing an alto flute. I really do actually feel like I'm playing an alto flute with this thing. It's big. It's big. So I'm quite short, okay? I'm quite short. I'm quite small. All right. So just because I say that I need to put in a ton of air and make my mouth super huge in order to play this, it does not mean you have to. I will guess that if you are like, you know, 5'8", 5'9", you know, and taller, I would say, yeah, around there and taller, you're probably just bigger than me in all respects. Like your whole skeleton's bigger than me, okay? So like, I think this would be more proportionate to you, kind of like the way the Brandon is proportionate to me, you know? Yeah, channel my inner Kirby. Yeah, exactly. Like that's kind of how I feel playing this. I feel like I'm playing an alto flute for real. Tall but with asthma. You guys. Let's get the mouth drawing. All right, Manuel. Well, before we get the mouth drawing going, like I have it prepared. Okay, I do have it prepared. I have that slide prepared. But I would like to give one more go at the harmonics just to make sure I got the map really good. Okay, so let's do this. Used to how like wide my Airstream has to be, but the placement is so similar to my Brandon. It's actually kind of scary how similar it is. So here we, wow, how did I mess that up so spectacularly? There we go. Okay. All right. We've got our drawing. Let me okay. I'm going to draw, let's see. So we need our teeth. Okay. You know, hey, not bad this time. I usually have to redo that several times. Maybe I'm actually doing this enough times now that I'm actually getting like not too bad at this. That's really quite horrible. There we go. Okay, close enough. All right, close enough. So, we will start with where the low notes sit. Now, first off is huge, wide Airstream, okay? So, I'll just put this huge, wide Airstream. Okay, so much better if you are taller than me. I am the size of a child, okay? So now our lowest note, it's so similar to what I'm used to. Like seriously, if I was like bigger and taller, I'd probably choose this. But it sits kind of on the lips, just right on there. Actually, let's make that a little smaller just to make room for the rest. There we go. So your low notes sit there, like low C we're talking about, low C, low B. It just kind of like when you say pew, you blow that stream of air, you should feel that there's like an air bubble that forms, you know, towards the front of your mouth. And that air bubble is sitting right on the lower lip. Now, as you get higher and higher, you're just going up. I'll make a little arrow and then I'll show you guys. I'll like actually write it in for you guys. So as you go higher, this air bubble travels up like this. Okay. So I'm just going to double check all of my harmonics. So an octave higher from that will be, oh, by the way, I guess this one, let's label this as C4. An octave higher, we're looking, it kind of feels like it's like right here. Maybe a little further back. Like I can almost feel it against my teeth. Like the bottom of my top front teeth. Let me just make sure. is right around there. I'm going to go a little bit further now. So that, so this one's C5. G5 is like here. So that's G5. C6 is like up here. So it's going, you can see that it's going like up and back as we go higher and higher. Yeah. It is seriously so similar to mine. At least similar when it has a B foot joint on it. It changes if it's only a C foot joint. But with a B foot joint, it's just very similar to how the Brandon works, except that this is just like way bigger. So my E6, I feel, is like tucked right up here. So that's essentially kind of like where the teeth meets the gums. It's like right there. That's our E6. The G6 tucks itself forward. This is very typical. Like you'll see kind of like the air bubble will sort of, you know, go on sort of like a predictable path up until it hits what I call the problem harmonic. So every flute has this like one harmonic that sort of breaks out of the pattern. And it seems like it's the G on this one too. So I feel it. It's actually kind of like down and forward. Would I say wide? Okay, Nicholas is asking, would I say wide but focused? Yes, that's a very great way of putting it. It's not wide and unfocused, it's wide and focused air. It's just literally you have to be a bigger person than me. So, okay. Yeah, it's like right in front of the teeth. So our G6 is like out here. It looks so weird, but this is where that's a little high. It's like here. This is G6. Wild, right? So, and then from there, as we go higher, I notice that we're just kind of like stacking on top of where that G6 is. Yep. So the B flat 6. B flat 6 is like here. That's B flat 6. And then our C7. This one is the one where I kind of feel like I have to give myself a little bit of extra room for it to come out, because it's tucked so high up and so forward that I don't actually really have that room in my mouth. So I have to kind of like really think about giving extra room. Yeah, so when I actually think about it correctly and I give a wide enough airstream, you can hear that it's coming out really clearly. But yeah, that C7 is like tucked way up here. So that's C7. So that's the map. As you can see from how this looks, this is a very forward playing flute. It's right up, everything is all up in the front. This does mean that, because you don't have to do as much kind of like crazy mouth gymnastics in order for you to like play this really well. You will find that it's just generally you can see that your tonguing in the like middle register into the high register is all going to be somewhere around your teeth, somewhere around here. And like you just have to be careful that up in the upper half of the second of the middle register into the bottom half of the upper register, just make sure your tongue is high up enough for that. But pretty much everything else, because the rest of what anything that is resonated in front of your teeth, I find that as long as you tongue somewhere at the bottom, like between your teeth, like the bottom of your front teeth, like if you do sort of like a faux French tonguing is what I call it. I came up with the term. So please don't go around thinking that this is an official term, but I call it faux French tonguing because real French tonguing is when you stick your tongue out from between your lips and you go, right? So what I call faux French tonguing is when you do that, but just between your teeth. So you go like that. So that's really good. Like tonguing like that is really, really good for when you're resonating notes that are like in front of your teeth. So, I can already see that articulation on this thing is going to feel really nice. It's just in the top half of the middle register into the bottom half of the high register, just around there. Just I'm probably going to have to bring my tongue up a little bit, but yeah. So that's how I would like map out this particular flute with this particular head joint cut. So this one in particular is the let me just make sure that I have here. So this one is the Stanhope cut. So Stanhope. Okay, wonderful. So I think let's write in a few notes just so that I don't forget what we're doing here. So wide, huge airstream, but still focused. Okay. Better for a taller, bigger person. Great for people who naturally use a lot of air. So it should be natural. So you shouldn't be like really feeling like you're chugging air into this thing. It should just feel completely normal to you, and not like you're like actually trying to push the flute. So that's I would say the big thing there. Now in terms of other things, very forward playing. Very forward playing. I'll put here, watch out for upper half of middle reg and lower half of high reg. So for that part, make sure tongue rides higher against back of top front teeth. And then I would say probably otherwise roughly faux French tonguing will work. Yeah, will work. Cool. Okay, so let's test out my hypothesis, and let's see how the articulation goes. if I were to actually own this flute, I would have to practice to make sure that my tongue rides higher for this top half of the middle register and bottom half of the low register, because it's not naturally what I want to do. However, I'm not sure if you guys heard, but when I tongued the notes high G and above, they're just poppy and they come right out because I was tonguing between my teeth for those. So generally speaking, you want to tongue, like make contact with your tongue pretty much right behind where that air bubble is sitting. So wherever that air bubble wants to be, if your tongue is right behind it and making contact with something right behind it, it's going to sound really crisp and really clean. And you won't get that like thumpy sound. You won't get the delayed sound. You also won't get this like kind of like spitty, like horrible shrill sound either. Yeah, it's the most crisp if that tongue is like right behind where that air bubble is. So yeah, I can hear that like some of the tonguing gets a little bit like inconsistent for me because I'm not used to it. But if I were to practice it, I think I could totally practice this into subconsciousness, so, which is what you do when you're practicing things into your muscle memory. So yeah, I think I did prove my point, right? But I do want to do some double tonguing as well. Okay, because your tongue is so far forward, like from high G and above, it makes your double tonguing really easy, like very, very easy, because it feels just like double tonguing much lower notes. I think personally, I'm having trouble finding the exact break point of where my tongue goes from tonguing between my teeth to tonguing to like actually behind my teeth. So I kind of want to mess with that a little bit until I find it. I think it is right around where the G is, like at F-ish, F to G, somewhere between F sharp and G. E still feels like I'm tonguing between my teeth, like middle register E. Did you hear how much clearer that sounded? Like the tone just kind of opened up. Yeah, because I finally got the perfect combo of like making sure my air bubble is in the right spot, plus my tongue is tonguing in the right spot. If you get one of those two off, it kind of mutes the flute. Okay, that was good. That was good. So, air bubble in the right spot, tongue needs to be like it goes from the faux French tonguing to actually behind the front teeth. I think the break is between F and G. So I'm going to test F sharp now. air bubble keeps getting too small. I have to keep reminding myself to make that air bubble huge. I'm just not a big enough person for this. Okay, the break is definitely, I feel it's like most apparent at G, but you definitely start doubting yourself at F. At F is where you're just kind of like, maybe I need to start kind of edging a little bit higher. So yeah, I would say that the break is somewhere between F, F sharp, G. It's kind of like over those three notes. Okay. All right. I guess let's now try some dynamic tone color type stuff. Okay, that's pretty impressive. I think part of it is because the airstream has to be so big. So you have a little bit more like, you know, the the amount of space that you have to work with when you're getting really soft, you have more to work with. Like you can get softer and hold it because your airstream is not as small, you know? So more room, exactly. Yeah, you like the foghorn sound? You can get a really nice foghorn sound out of this. That's very impressive. Okay, something to just give you guys a tip about. I noticed that the softer you get, like the you know, I have talked about this before, but just as a review, when you make your sound very big and very you know, very, very huge, you get that like big forte sound, right? So you can actually make that air bubble also conversely really tiny. If you make it super, super tiny, you can get a nice tiny pianissimo sound, you know, thin pianissimo sound. Now, I noticed though that in order to get the best sound, the smaller your air bubble gets, the more further forward you need to push it in order for it to have that really nice crisp sound. If you keep that air bubble where I put here in my little map, okay, this is like at mezzo forte. But if you were to play all of this pianissimo, you would shift all of these spots a tiny bit forward, a little bit forward. The louder you play, the larger your air bubble is going to be, the further back you actually have to shove it. Isn't that interesting? So this is just something for you guys to keep in mind when you're trying flutes. Like even this does not stay static. So if you're playing soft, everything shoves forward. If you're playing really loud, everything shoves back a little bit. All right. So, but yeah, because the airstream is so big on this, I am noticing that I have more room to kind of come down. Yeah. So you can't say why, but you in pianissimo, you tend to push out the flute with your right hand for better results. I wonder if you are actually subconsciously doing exactly what I'm talking about, because everything has to push out a little bit further, right? Anyway, let's do this. does play very similarly to a Brandon. Like, to me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's just how you do it. But then I had this thought in my head where I was like, oh shoot, I have to actually like explain to you guys what I feel. So you are playing with the air bubble. You're playing with the shape of the air bubble. So the air bubble itself, if you want a really like thin kind of like hollowy woodsy sound, you make the air bubble itself really like thin, squash it from the sides, make it tall and narrow. All right. And then if you want a nice big rich sound, you make that air bubble huge, right? Make it huge, but flat, wide, flatten it and widen it, make it as big as possible. Give the inside of your mouth ton of space, more so width wise, right? So the rest of your mouth kind of, you know, follows what you're doing with the air bubble. But in some other flutes, I find that you actually have to open up the space behind the air bubble, maybe a little bit lower behind the air bubble, sometimes up and behind the air bubble. And it doesn't really have much to do with the air bubble itself in terms of what you're playing around with. But this is something that I'm very familiar with because my own flute works this way. I actually play with the air bubble itself. So the air bubble itself is actually changing shape. So I'll put this here. So for tone color is playing with shape of air bubble. So I'll put tall, narrow for thin, hollow, woodsy sound, and then wide, flat, big for rich, thick sound. Okay, that like foghorn sound. All right, I'll put that in here, foghorn sound. Yeah. All right. Oh, later, Amir. Good night. Thank you so much for dropping by. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying, because since I'm not reviewing 5,000 flutes, I actually have time to check what you guys are asking. Hey Josh, how are you? Hussein, hello and welcome. I'm so sorry if I butchered your name. All right. How do you guys have any questions so far, or any ideas so far? So Brenda's asking if the heavier head joint does actually feel more balanced with the B foot joint. Yes, it does actually feel more balanced, but it's just causing the entire flute to feel insanely heavy to me, but like evenly heavy, if that makes sense, because I am a small person. Yeah. Josh, you love your Haynes. Oh, I'm so glad. And you're finishing up teaching a lesson. Wonderful. I hope it was lovely. Yeah, I can definitely try Tumnus's Lullaby on this one. I haven't tried it in a very long time, but I think that this will be really good for that one. Before I do that though, let's just try out, I think the last thing I really need to do is like mechanism type stuff. So let's just mess with that really quickly, and then let's get to that Tumnus's Lullaby. So. that gizmo makes a really big difference on this one. You guys hear that like intonation difference, and also just like the clarity of sound. Like the moment I put it down, it's like that high C just like pops. There's like way less resistance too if you use the gizmo with the high C. Now in terms of the actual mechanism, it's really nice. Like this is like the craftsmanship of this is absolutely on par with my flute, and really just what I would expect out of a custom professional flute. Just very even, like light. I would say that due to the split E mechanism, I am noticing that that is causing, and I think there's really no way to go around this, but I think it is causing the right hand index and middle finger keys to feel a little bit heavier, but it still has the same kind of like evenness, and it's like a slight bounce. Yeah, there's not much bounce, but there's like a slight bounce, I would say, but it's very light. Yeah. So I think what's happened is that what it feels like to me is that the right ring finger has been kind of like has been tweaked to match the similar like heaviness as the right hand index and middle fingers. Yeah, it feels like this one's been tweaked because this one only covers one other key besides itself, whereas this one covers many keys, as you can see. Right, so these two fingers, because it's connected to so many other keys, these two fingers feel a little heavier, and this one has been tweaked to try and match these two, which I find very interesting. Yeah, but it's all very, I think the best part about this is it's just very even. So light, slight bounce. I say light because when you press it, it feels light. But when it bounces back up due to the slight bounce, it's like it has medium resistance, which is exactly what some people want, by the way. This is exactly what some people want, because some people like their mechanism so light that if they just go like this, the keys will actually flop up and down. Some people, for some reason, like it that light. And then other people like it with like this kind of like, it's really hard to describe because it's not true medium resistance. There is really no resistance when you're playing this, but it's like, and it's not delayed. Nothing is delayed. It's like everything is super precise, but like when you play it, the way that I would describe it is that the mechanism at the same time feels light, but only with a slight bounce. And when it's coming up, you feel like there's almost kind of like this medium resistance, you know? So if this is what you're looking for, fantastic. Hi, Sean, how are you? Oh, thank you, Victor. So tips for low notes. You want to make sure that when you are playing, you'll see this in my little stupid drawing here. So the lower your notes are, the more, like when you play into the flute, you should feel like you're going pew, pew. So pew, and I got that syllable from The Magical Flutist. So great book. Please go and buy it. I did a whole review about it. You just look further back in my live streams. You'll see this book called The Magical Flutist. That's where I got it from. Katri. Katri's the one who penned it down. This idea that you go pew. Now, when you go pew like that, you should feel that you're kind of creating this air bubble. And that air bubble needs to sit lower and more forward. So as you can see, I've put on this flute, the air bubble is sitting like on the lower lip. It's quite low and forward. And that helps your low notes, you know, like come out a lot better, but it's slightly different from flute to flute. So you don't take this as the Bible. Okay. This is just how this flute works and how my flute works. And, you know, a few flutes work this way. So sometimes that little air bubble is like, you know, in front of the lower teeth instead, you know, like slightly lower. Sometimes it's slightly further back. Sometimes it's a little bit more forward, but in general, it's more or less low and forward. Yeah. Okay. So, now let's try, as Michael requested, and you guys can now that I have time, because I'm not, reviewing 5,000 flutes. Please go ahead and ask me to, like, if you have anything in particular that you're curious how this thing would sound on it, please let me know. I don't promise to get to everything, but at least it'll give me a good idea of what I can try. So here we go. Yeah, you guys can hear that, like, you have a lot to play with in the, like, especially in the pianos. The tapering is, like, amazing on this thing. Get that really nice, rich, mellow sound. Yeah, it's great. And because those low notes don't sit too low, I find that they're pretty easy to hit. So, by the way, I need to update our notes here with my findings about the mechanism. So the mechanism is light, slight bounce, medium resistance when keys rise back up. I hope that makes sense. Like, I don't know why, but I can really feel it that when it comes up, it's not like snapping up, which is not necessarily something that everyone wants. It's not snapping up, but it's like, it's so even. Every single key is doing it the same way. It's so interesting. Okay. Yeah. Does this flute have a big sound more than the others? That is not your imagination, because the lip cut is absolutely freaking gigantic. And I personally feel, in order to actually play this flute well, I'm going like, it's like I'm playing an alto flute. Like, I feel like I'm playing an alto flute. And so like the airstream is bigger. I need to have a wider space in the mouth. This kind of proves what I have been thinking for like a decade, which is that Haynes flutes tend to me to feel like they are a literal bigger version of my flute, which is a Brandon. I feel like I have to increase a lot of like the space in my mouth, the size of the air bubble inside my mouth, how much air I put in, etc. But yeah, it is huge. I don't think it is your imagination. Someone requested for Elise. I'm gonna see if I can find, no promises, but I'm gonna see if I can find a like a flute rendition of it. Oops. Yes, I found a flute rendition of it. Okay, we'll do a bit of it. We're not gonna do all of it, but we'll do a bit. Let's see. This has a lot of like E's, which might be really good for me to like figure out, see how feisty the middle register E's are on this flute. interesting with that high E part. That just came right out. And I wonder if partially that that was so easy because it is a split E mechanism. So I'm going to just try that part again. I'm slightly losing my C's because I think for me, naturally, my air bubble is just, it's too small. So whenever I try to make it like wider, I'm also, I think, increasing my airspeed because that's what I'm used to doing on my flute. But now I have to keep the airstream low, so like slow, while keeping a huge space. And I'm just not used to it. Interesting. That's interesting to note that, like, I feel like this is really proving that this is for someone who's much bigger than I am, which is interesting. So the glick, I know you sent me the glick. Let me fish that out. Yes. Okay, I found it. So you're saying second movement, is that right? Opening of the second movement. Oh. Okay, let's see. I'm an idiot. Oh, that's just part of the prelude, isn't it? Whoops. Thank you. Oh, low E's. Okay, all right. One, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Oh God. Okay. Yeah. I want to see if I can like force myself to actually like open up, like keep that air bubble huge. I have to keep asking myself I'm gonna keep telling myself keep that air bubble huge because I keep going back to my normal air bubble size. Ooh. that did work better. I'm not sure if you guys heard, but that did work better. But I still think I still tend to make my air bubble too small. So yeah, this is gonna be so good for people who like just naturally put in a lot of air and want to hold like a bigger air bubble in your mouth. This will do it. That was lovely. Thank you. Brahms Lullaby. I'm curious now if Flute Tunes has. I do really like Flute Tunes because Flute Tunes does really great arrangements and transcriptions and stuff. Brahms. I'm not sure. Oh, is this the lullaby that you're thinking of? Da 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 da. Okay, I have a funny story to tell. I will tell it after. Huge air bubble, man. Do you hear how it sounds slightly muted on me? It's I keep fighting that air bubble. I keep fighting how large that air bubble is. But like when I do it right, it sounds good. Yeah, I think I'm very good at making the air bubble wide. I'm not good at making the air bubble taller. I think that's what I'm really finding with this particular excerpt here. So I will tell you now, because I can definitely tell I am slobbering out of this thing. So I am going to swab it really quickly. Now, while I swab, I'm going to tell you guys a story. So my parents used to sing this lullaby to me as a baby. Why do I know this? Is because they sang to me much later when I was older and could understand them, what they actually sang to me. So I'm going to sing it in Cantonese, okay? And for those of you guys who understand Cantonese, you'll know what I'm actually saying, okay? So they went, 쿠쿠줄 쿠쿠줄 내 하얗고 다이완단 which means like I think 쿠쿠줄 like is like there, it's like saying there little pig. Like it's like saying little piggy, you are a big rotten egg. And that's what my parents used to sing to me. I know that they put more words to it, like for the rest of the lullaby. So I need to get my mom to tell me what they sang for the rest of it. But yeah, that's my parents, yo. Yeah, yeah. So they're just like little piggy, like oh piggy, or like snoring little piggy. Like I think cuckoo is like, um, it's like an endearing thing that you say to like little babies, you know. Um, so anyway, okay. Well, let's do this last one, and then I want to try the next head joint. So, Nicholas is saying Siegfried Idyll. Okay. Do I know this one? Okay. Thank God for IMSLP. Um, what? Which part do I play? Do I play like the big expansive bit? I forgot how many times I played that because I was reading ahead. Verdi Requiem. I don't know if there is a Flute Tunes version of it. Let's see. Um, um, there isn't a nice like flute like arrangement. Are you looking for like Dies Irae? Morning, birthday, Christmas morning gift to Cosima List Wagner. Oh, oh, no wonder. I was like, I feel like I've played this before. And yeah, I remember that story. Like our conductor told us that story. How sweet. Let's try the little solo bit that I'm seeing here on the Requiem. I'm not even sure if I'm playing that remotely in the correct speed. Maybe a hair too fast. Man, this looks so fun. This augment stay. Oh, Daphnis and Chloe. That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm gonna keep some of these out. Let's see. Is there like an arrangements and transcriptions? I mean, there's always the parts. Okay, but Daphnis and Chloe is really good. I'm now curious how it plays on this, because like usually I feel like I have to like kind of like really control my breath. So I might actually run out of air way faster. Let's see, orchestra excerpts. .com. We're gonna go to the flute one. Okay, so Daphnis and Chloe. Yeah, there it is. So okay, I want to try something, because I noticed from doing that the C sharp is very stable on this flute. That's actually surprising how stable that is. So I'm going to compare it with the C with C sharp trill fingering, just to see how stable it is. Wow, that's impressive. That's extremely impressive. Wow. Okay, it's a very impressive, very stable C sharps. That is going on the notes here. That's impressive. Extremely stable C sharps. Wow. Yeah, right? You guys notice? Like, you can almost hear no difference. That's actually insane. And thank you for suggesting the Daphnis and Chloe. Otherwise, I would not have noticed that. That's so interesting. So try high G sharp Daphnis with C sharp trill. Oh, I've never tried that before. Ooh, wow. Sorry. Okay. I made it too small. another thing I noticed is I need to, you know what I was talking about, like I'm having a lot of trouble keeping the air bubble big enough. Yeah, I definitely noticed that if I really concentrated on making sure that the air bubble was like big enough vertically, then it really kind of like filled out the tone. For some of this, quite a bit of it actually, I was actually kind of unhappy with how muted it was sounding. So I'm not sure if you guys noticed at which point I was like experimenting with sort of dropping the that air bubble to be like bigger vertically. So do you guys notice that that sounds like it has more ring to it, more natural ring? And that's just because I dropped that. Well, I didn't drop the air bubble. I made the air bubble bigger vertically. So for a okay, I'll try with. How exactly are you doing the high A? Because I just figured out that what you mean by the high G sharp with the trill key is that you actually play a low G sharp, but you put the C sharp trill on, because it that essentially does what lifting these two fingers does. So for the high A, you're playing first or second trill key. So I'm just trying to see what you mean by that, because I'm curious now. Oh. So are you keeping your G sharp fingering down, but just putting your first trill key down to get to the A? Okay, so the only thing I would say to that is that if you can practice it such that it is completely seamless, because the fingerings are kind of weird and stretched out, at least for me, because I have small hands, then that is amazing. Oh, definitely is easier to show me, 100%. Now you know what it's like for me to teach online every single day. Yeah. Yeah. Low octave G sharp finger. I just figured that out. It definitely stabilizes it. But I am suffering from small person syndrome, which is that my fingers feel like they have to stretch like this in order to accommodate that fingering. So I think it really depends on you, and what you can pull off, Anyway, it is time, guys. We've been spending so much time on this and having tons of fun, but we really need to move on to the second head joint, which is the Nagog. And I hope I'm saying that correctly. So we don't need to mess with like mechanism and that type of thing here. We're just doing kind of like, we're mapping, figuring out how different it is in terms of like where the notes want to sit in the mouth. We'll be figuring out tone color, that type of thing. So here is the Nagog head joint with the platinum riser. Very exciting. Okay, let's do this. So, let's put this here. Okay. We're actually I'm gonna put this here. So this is like the body of the flute. There, the body is like that. And then this one is the Nagog plus platinum riser. Okay, let's see what this has to offer us. I'm very curious. Okay. Because the lip hole is much smaller, I'm going to guess I don't have to put in I don't have to use as big of an air bubble, which means this might be more comfortable to me, I think. Now, 51% of people think that the Stanhope, which is the one that I just played around with, this one, they think that this one fits me better, or that I would like it better. But I don't think so. I see you, Chris. Ah, you've been spotted. Man, that one just wants to sit so high up. It is very uncomfortable for me to try and get. Okay, we're going to have to play around a little bit. My first impressions is, yes, it is a much smaller air bubble. So I can tell I'm more comfortable in this one. So we're going to end the poll. We end the poll, but y'all are wrong. Okay. Okay. Smaller air bubble. Let's put that down. Smaller air bubble. So for me, it's a lot more comfortable. The placement of the air bubble to me seems to follow exactly what the Stanhope was. I personally am not really seeing any like huge deviations from it, but I'm just going to put it in front of my face right now and see if what I'm doing actually matches what my little drawing here has. So let's try. G7 might actually be in a slightly different spot. I'm almost inclined to say that the G6, B flat 6 are actually a little bit lower than on the Stanhope, I think. It's starting to come out. I think it's shoved back a bit. I think. It's a little lower and it's shoved back. It's like it wants to sit in a spot where there's no way I can make room for it. Ah! Okay. Again. No. This head joint is all of this. It's like, it follows the same pattern, but everything is shoved down a bit. Just a hair. It's just shoved. Everything is shoved down just a little bit. So I'll show you guys in a bit. Okay. Yeah. Very difficult. I did get this high C out, as you guys can hear. I did get it out, but it was because I basically had to, it wants to resonate basically precisely where my top front teeth are. Like, it wants to resonate in that spot, but my front teeth are actually literally in the spot that it needs to resonate in. So I kind of did like a weird, like, I pulled my head back, but then I shoved my, like, further away from the flute, and then I shoved my my upper lip as forward as it could go to try and essentially like mimic the spot that it would be, and that worked. But wow, yeah, it basically wants to resonate exactly where my teeth are. So like there is no space to resonate it. So, but it is very similar. It's very similar to Stanhope. It's just everything is shoved down. So I will create a little how should we do this? I think I will let's make a new one. Okay, so this is, all right, let me just do that. So this is the Stanhope. this one is going to be the Nagog, and I really hope I'm not butchering that, but the Nagog. And so if we're looking at kind of like where everything sits, let's do our delightful lips too. So lips. Okay. That's a little too forward there. Well, yeah, sure, we'll do that. So our C4 that is further down. So it's like here. It's not like sitting on top of the lip. It's like right below it and behind. So that is C4. C5, instead of being right at the bottom of my, because here it's at the bottom of my top teeth, it's a little lower. It's like kind of here. So this is C5. G6 is like at the bottom of the G5, yeah, is at the bottom of the top teeth. Then as we go higher, this is C6. The E6 is not tucked up as high. It's more so at the top of the front teeth, like behind, so here. Then our G6 is further down. So it feels like it's like here. So this is G6. And then we have B flat. This is B flat 6. And then this is the one that my mouth does not have room for. So technically speaking, if my mouth actually had more room, my C7 is actually like right here. So this is C7. So if we compare the two, you can see that, like, just doing a direct comparison. So this is Stanhope. This is Nagog. You can see that it's the Nagog is the Stanhope, but shoved further down, like just shoved down a little bit. So this is, again, very good for, like, you know, people who find that the Stanhope, just everything is too high up. This will bring everything down. Now the other thing is, because the lip cut is so much smaller, this is I'll put here smaller, narrower airstream. Yeah, so at least this is the Nagog with the platinum. So plus plat riser. Okay, so that's super interesting. Now we're going to play with tone color and see how that is affected. Okay. Blind guy, hello, welcome back. You ordered a custom 14 karat rose gold Haynes with gold rings and tone holes with the S cut. That's fantastic. So with the Stanhope, yes? Oh my gosh, congratulations. Congratulations. Yes, everyone give your congratulations. Hello, Jackie. How are you? Welcome back. Okay. All right. So I'll put here air bubble placement shoved down a bit compared to the Stanhope. Okay, very cool. So I want to try just a little bit of tone color stuff, and then I want to try some of the same excerpts that we just did. Okay, just as I thought, because of the platinum riser, even if you go very, very thin and very, very small, you don't actually get a very like hollowy, like, you know, kind of breathy sound, you know? So if you don't want a lot of breathy sound, you know, maybe it's the type of music you perform, you play, type of music you prefer. Yeah, that'll do it for you. Like this is very good for if you're playing in like an orchestra and you need your sound needs to cut through. That little bit of platinum, even when you're playing soft, can help you project and cut through. So it's fantastic for that. However, if you are playing with like, you know, a little chamber group, you know, and you're playing in little venues, you know, the fact that you can't really do much of the breathy kind of like chorus chamber sound may not be what you're looking for. So I think now I want to try. So I'll put here great, really great for, wow, with 3 L's. Okay. Great for projection. So I'll put here even soft notes cut through. Like it does not get the breathy sound. Does not get breathy sound. Okay, very cool. So let's just try a few of the things that we did before. So I'll start with Thomas's Lullaby. I'm going to try and get the breathy sound, but I don't think I can. You guys can tell, but even when that was like super breathy, like, and it still cuts through. It still has that like really platinum laser edge to the sound. So I'm just gonna switch back to the Stanhope, which does not have platinum in it, just so that you guys can hear what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go as breathy, like play in the same breathy manner, and it should sound even breathier in this one. Like, do you hear that difference? Like, I hope it's coming through. But like, do you hear how much more breathy it sounds without the platinum? Like, I'm going extreme so that you guys can hear it. But yeah, if I go. Do you hear how there's still like insane core like inside? So that's why I say that like with the platinum, it is so good for orchestral playing. Like if you need to cut through that orchestra, you know, like if you're like a solo concerto, you know, that type of thing, you need to be like front and center and be like heard, you know, like little bit of platinum, just that little bit of platinum in the riser will just like You know what I mean? It'll just like knock your sound right out there. You don't have to be scared of playing too soft, because you can play soft, but it'll still cut through, you know? You guys can hear it. Excellent. Excellent. I'm glad you guys can hear it. Yeah. It's really interesting, actually. Okay, so we are now going to look through some of the rest of this, the other excerpts we did. So we did Glick, the beginning of the second movement. You hear that platinum just like cutting right through. And now you will notice that like I'm a lot more like steady on this because the air bubble, it does not need to be as big as on the Stanhope. I still can't quite like do that drop though. I'm more comfortable in this one. But yeah, there's still some like big drops that I'm noticing that I'm not used to aiming for where I need to go, so I'm losing some of those low notes if I have to go at them from a lot higher. So nice. I hope I somewhat played that correctly. Let's see. There was our lullaby. Not sure if you guys heard it, but I am like tending to crack a little high on these low notes because everything is shoved a little further down and I just got so used to the Stanhope. So I want to try this second half again, making sure that I keep that air bubble lower in the mouth. Oh, interesting. So, Manuel, you prefer the Stanhope. I'm curious. How about the rest of you? Do you guys have a preference of the Stanhope versus the Nagog? Because I'm more so talking about how they're different feeling wise, and also like, you know, the fact that this has a little bit of platinum in it, that it's causing some kind of like some color differences and like projection differences, that type of thing. Let's do like a little bit of like just like right in the middle of the Siegfried Idyll. pretty. And of course, Daphne and Chloe. I think this will be like the one that will really showcase like the differences between these two. Oh, I see that a lot of you really preferred the Stanhope. Was um but you guys all agree that this sounds like it's very in your face, right? Projecting in your face. Yeah. I like that we're all kind of like hearing and feeling the same thing. So, absolutely, you guys are correct. I like that it's coming across to you guys that I don't have to breathe as hard on the Nagog. But yeah, I have to breathe way more on the Stanhope. Like I run out of air way faster because that air bubble has to be so much bigger. This one, what I am really finding is I think it's shoved a little lower than I prefer. Because like I'm noticing that when I drop into the low register, it's still like it has a little bit of that kind of like thin sound because I haven't dropped low enough. So anytime you guys like play a note and you kind of feel it's like a little muted, like it's not opening up, a lot of times it's just because you're concentrating your air bubble in the wrong spot. And you know, as you play more and more, you'll be able to kind of like hear the symptoms of whether your air bubble is too high, too low, etc. So I could tell that once I got past Q177, I was like, ooh, I'm not shoving it low enough. So like every now and then, if I like actually convince my mouth to shove it lower, it would open up. But yeah. I'm going to try that bit after 177. Do you hear that, how that opened up? Like it didn't have that muted sound that I had in my last playthrough. And that's just because I'm dropping that air bubble down. I'm shoving it way further down than I think it should be, and it's just opening it right up. I'm gonna go a little bit further. Like that D sharp, my body and my mouth is used to resonating that D sharp quite a bit higher in my mouth than this cut wants. Yeah, I was hearing that muted sound come back and I was like, oh, nope, my air bubble's too high again. So weirdly enough, I actually think the size of the air bubble is much more comfortable for me on this one. But the mapping of where the air bubble sits is not, like, I'm just not used to it. So I think it's hard to say whether I'm comfortable with it, but I definitely can tell you guys that I'm not used to it. But it's fantastic. Thank you. I will drink more water. Jackie, your Haynes is a vintage, so this cut sounds crazy loud compared to it. Yeah. Projection kind of became a huge thing, in the development of the flute. I would say that right now we're seeing a surge in kind of like interest in tone color production. So like different tone colors, how rich can you get, how lasery can you get, how woodsy can you get, how sweet and gentle can you get, Thank you for the reminder for articulation. So thank you. I will do so. So let's do some tonguing stuff. So I think everything is shoved lower. Yeah, those low notes sit so low. It's a little uncomfortable for me. I think I can actually make that assertion now that the low notes, that air bubble sits so low. Yeah, it ain't that comfortable for me. Okay, so what I find very interesting, it's the same idea as all other flutes. You just want your tongue to be behind where the air bubble wants to sit. But because my tongue now has to be a little lower as well, I am noticing that it's very low for really low notes. You have to do essentially French style tonguing. It's literally between the teeth. And as you go higher, you don't go very high at all. You only go up about halfway behind your front teeth. And then your highest notes are again tongued really forward because it's resonating in front of the teeth. So, but the tongue stays very low. which I find interesting because for a person like me who has a very small mouth, this can pose a pretty interesting issue where I'm finding that my tongue is sort of getting in the way of my airstream. Like it's kind of because it's so low. So like, it's interesting. So I'm gonna do a little bit more, but like, I feel like if you had a larger mouth, you wouldn't have this problem. But I have a literal child-sized mouth. So like, I almost kind of feel like my tongue is getting in the way. Okay, I found the solution, and it also helped me figure out why I kept raising that air bubble too high when I was playing all these little excerpts. So the solution is to hollow out the space behind my bottom front teeth. So that makes extra space for air to sit and also for like a place for my tongue to go. If I don't do that, what happens is I'm just more comfortable having my air bubble be a little bit higher. But then that creates that kind of muted sound. So I think as I was tonguing here and there in the Daphnis and Chloe, because I definitely noticed it happening way more right after the tongued bit. So, you know, the part with all the repeated B's. So So that sounded better that time because I did my little solution that I came up with just now, which is since my mouth is so small that my tongue is actually getting in the way when I tongue so low, I have to just hollow out that space here. It's like your lower palate. You can actually like force it to have a little bit more space. And then when you do that, you can hear how much nicer that sounded, right? It didn't have that like muted sound. It was a lot more kind of like sparkly and open. Yeah, you heard it, right? You heard it? Yeah. So that's interesting. So weirdly enough, even though the air bubble is smaller and thus more comfortable for me on the Nagog cut, I still think that if your mouth was bigger, you would be much more comfortable than me. Like you wouldn't have to do the whole like hollowing out the, you know, the space behind your bottom teeth. Yeah, you wouldn't have to do that because you naturally have that space, but I don't. So that's an interesting discovery. So I'm gonna write it here. And so thank you for reminding me to mess around with articulation because I would not have figured that out if not for that. So when tonguing, Joe needs to, not everyone, okay, Joe needs to hollow out space behind lower teeth to give enough space for tongue, since tongue needs to be lower because all the air bubbles are lower, sitting lower. Yeah, this is really interesting. Makes you wonder how this end cut, this Nagog cut, would sound without the platinum and the S with the platinum. So what I think is that it's more of a tone color shift, right? So like you would be able to get the breathy sound with the Nagog cut if you didn't have the platinum. You would get much more of like a crazy projecting, like in your face sound on the Stanhope. Like I think that's what would kind of change between the two, like mostly. Because I think what we're talking about with like the placement of the air and stuff like that, I feel, and it's just a feeling, okay? This is not based on any facts or anything. This is just Joe's feelings. So I just feel like it has more to do with cut, I think. Yeah. Like the Nagog, I think without the platinum would probably sound a lot lighter, you know? Like it wouldn't have that like punch in your face sound, you know, that you guys are hearing. Oh, it's so interesting. So interesting. Okay, we do still have a little bit of time. So, and for this, because I am done the like official reviewing part, I feel like sitting down. So we're going to sit down and we're just going to have some fun here. I'm going to take out my flute with the original composition. So like the B foot joint, because I want it to be as similar as possible. So with the original head joint and the original foot joint, I'm going to put my flute together and we're going to do a little bit of a comparison. There's not really going to be a, what's the word? Like an official guide of what I'm testing. We're just going to play around and see what the differences are. So let me swab this guy out. Oh, you're so welcome, Victor. It always has to do with the cut. Material comes second. That's how I feel, Josh. And it's kind of nice to hear another flutist agree that I'm not crazy. But okay, here you guys go. Oh, I'm certain you guys are going to want to see this like this, right? Okay, let me just scooch out a bit so you guys can see what's going on here. So we have our Haynes custom over here. We'll try to get it still within shot. I think I will put the Stanhope back on because that's closer to what I've got going on with my flute. So this one's mine. So you can see very slightly, you'll see that mine is a little bit of like a slightly different, like, do you see how this, the 14 karat looks deeper? The color is deeper, right? And this one is not because this one's 10 karat. So that's the part that doesn't quite match, but it's like, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. So we'll put that over here and let's get my original foot joint. Ha ha ha, I still have my original foot joint. So here's my foot joint. Okay, then we put that away. Put that over here. And then we'll get out my original head joint. And I'm gonna have to take off the tape because I use a little bit of tape for it to fit onto my, there we go. That's the original. That's the original combo. Oh, there's a lot of rose gold happening on this screen. Okay, let me take off this piece of tape here. All right. Oh gosh. This is the thing with having like not a lot of nails. I don't know about you guys. Can you guys play the flute with long nails? Because I cannot. I like literally cannot cover the holes properly if my fingernails are too long. And I know this from experience. Oh man. Okay. Come on. Come on. Oh, this is so annoying. Oh, I'm going to have to put on a new thing of tape afterwards. Oh. Monkey head joint. Um, I'm not trying the Monka, because I want to try something that's as close of a like comparison with like my OG Brandon combo, with the Haynes. So here we go. We're gonna put this baby together. Now, I don't know if it shows up on camera. I have no idea. But to me, I feel like my Brandon actually looks smaller. I don't know. Can you guys tell? Like, does my Brandon actually look smaller? Like, I feel like it does. Am I crazy? I feel like my Brandon is smaller. Okay. We're gonna take off the Nagog. We're gonna put on the Stanhope. Okay. Sorry, I will, as soon as I've lined this up properly, I'll put this back for you guys to see. Like, am I crazy? Does my Brandon actually look smaller? I feel like my Brandon's actually smaller. Does it look the same? Blind guy. Rods are closer on Brandon, posts slightly smaller. Yeah, yeah. Like, so weirdly, I think my pinky key is actually bigger. Haynes tends to have higher sitting key cups than Brandon. Yep, I agree. Yep. You had to. Blind guy. Oh, I love it. Looks like an F-150 truck next to a sedan. Yeah, right? Like, my flute feels so small by comparison. Like, I think it looks small. Anyway, let's go to this screen here. Now we're going to kind of actually compare. They're so similar. Like, look at them. Look at how similar they are. I have not rotated this correctly at all. My goodness. Okay, that's close enough. But look, from far away, oh my gosh, the Haynes is so much heavier. Don't they look like sisters? They look like siblings. So cute. Okay, first impression, the Haynes is way heavier. Like this feels like it's heavy wall compared to my flute. The interesting thing is that I believe my flute is standard wall, which is 0.016 inch tubing. The Haynes, according to the, at least according to the specs that I have here, is 0.012 inch tubing, which is wild to think about. Heavier because of the way that they make their mech and their key cups. Yeah. So Blind Guy is saying the Haynes is so much lighter than your heavy wall silver Miyazawa Vision. Yeah. Now you guys have a rough idea of just how light I like my flute. And not just that, I even switched to a C-foot joint recently, which makes it even lighter. So anyway, I'm gonna take a stab at my own flute, my own original combo. This is not actually the combo that I play on right now, but I'm just very curious to see kind of like what are the differences that I can feel. So Josh, yours is a solid 14K heavy wall with 19.5 carat head joint and heavy crown. That sounds like an absolute, like, I think I would not actually even be able to play that for an entire concert. Like, okay, right now, and I've just been like kind of like picking up the flute, putting down the flute, you know, like, and I have been playing for you guys for a while now, right? But I feel really tired right now. Like this, like playing mine just feels like such, like, it feels so light by comparison. Like insanely light. Okay. The air bubble is indeed smaller and it is higher. I think the air bubble is even smaller than on the Nagog. I think. Not only is the air bubble just a hair smaller than on the Nagog, I think it's a hair smaller. Everything is more forward. It's even more forward. So like, you know, this oh. There we go. So this drawing here. So think actually the Stanhope. So think this, but everything in front of the teeth. That's what this original head joint is. I believe this is the, I forget exactly what it's called. Modern Cooper, I believe. Yeah, I think it's the Modern Cooper. Okay. Well, let me play around with just very quickly. I'm going to go through the other stuff. Nicholas is absolutely correct. That you say that this is similar to how we talk, which is louder, more forward, compared to European Japanese, which is further back in the mouth. Absolutely. So I think like your preference for a flute will absolutely not only depend on the size of your mouth and like the size of your tongue, the size of your teeth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but also your native language. Like, how do you use your tongue? How do you open up your mouth? Do you open your mouth up really big? Where do you where do you kind of like concentrate your vowels, the shape of your vowels? Are they more up in the front? Are they more up in the back? Are they in the middle? Et cetera, et cetera. Absolutely. I completely agree. Having, taught several students around the world for like more than a decade now, that was one of the things that I actually encountered. So it kind of threw me for a loop when I encountered it. I remember having a few lessons with a student where I was like, oh shoot, I actually have to broach the topic of native language and accents and stuff like that, of like, you know, how it affects your perception of how you use your mouth and how you use your tongue. Yeah, insane. So I don't think it's a surprise that someone like me, who is a literal child-sized person and has a child-sized mouth, would prefer an American-built flute that plays very far forward in the mouth, with a tiny air bubble because I have a tiny mouth, right? Portuguese people tend to be loud. It's okay. Us Chinese people tend to be real loud too. But yeah, definitely like your native language and how you speak and like on the regular influences what you're comfortable with in terms of how you use different vowels and stuff in your mouth. And of course that would influence your choice of flute. So, okay. Now that I have roughly figured out how my old combo is, I'm gonna play the Daphnis and Chloe, because I feel like the Daphnis and Chloe has really like revealed a lot of things about all of these instruments. So let's do this. Okay, I think you guys can hear that I'm a lot more comfortable on this. So definitely I'm noticing everything is way more forward and way higher. So higher, more forward. So it's like if you comboed the Nagog and the Stanhope. Like if the air bubble was as high as the Stanhope, but small like the Nagog, then you would get something very close to this. But this, I feel, is even more forward than both of these, which is what I prefer. So let me now play the same thing again on the Haynes with the Stanhope. How are you doing? Okay. Few things that I noticed right off the bat. One, with the flute being so much heavier, I find that personally I'm a little bit distracted by how heavy it is. Like I'm like, holy cow. The second thing is because it just so happens that this is the cut of the Stanhope. It uses so much more air. Did you guys notice how much more like times I had to breathe? So I had to inhale a lot more. The sound is gorgeous though. Like the sound is really, really gorgeous. So I think, in my humble opinion, I think I proved my own point to myself, which is that the Haynes is legitimate, like the big sister of my Brandon. Like, it's like if someone built my Brandon for someone bigger and taller than me. Yeah. The Haynes with the S-cut sounds more open. Yes. I there is a reason why I went with my Monka. Because I didn't want to open up my sound more. Yeah. So, yeah, because it's heavier. The key cups feel bigger. Like just, they're more raised, so they're more apparent. And like even the air bubble is bigger. I need to take more air into play. Yeah, it just feels like it was built for someone much bigger and taller than me. Like you, bigger and taller. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's why you're getting a Haynes, right? So, yeah, because like, I just noticed that like I have a few friends who have a Haynes and they're all taller than me. All of them are taller than me. I have not yet met someone my size, who owns a custom Haynes. So we're talking custom. Okay. Like obviously when you're looking at lower models, a lot of times they make them lighter, they make them, more accessible for, younger students to play and stuff like that. So, as a result, I tend to actually really like a lot of the models that come out for younger players. They're lighter, they're made, it's just made for a smaller person, in mind. And so I'll always feel very comfortable on those. But yeah, this is so funny. Like I'm looking at this just like with my naked eye and I can like already see just like all the insane differences, like the straight up just there's so much of it that like it's just so interesting how like they're so similar, but they're also so different, Yeah, you agree, Brenda? Wow. Well, I had a ton of fun. I had a ton of fun doing this. I think that this has weirdly been a like long time dream of mine to be able to do a direct comparison between a Haynes with very similar specs to mine. So I didn't even ask for these similar specs, by the way. This just is, this is just fate, yeah, but I got to do it. Yeah, I got to do it. And yeah, I think that if you play a Brandon and you're like, everything is just so tiny. Everything's tiny. Like, I feel like my airstream has to be tiny. I feel like I can't put a ton of air into this thing, or like I have to restrict my air into this thing more. That's more what it's going to feel like to you, is that you feel like you have to restrict. If you just feel like you're like about to crush the instrument in your hands, because that's the other thing that happens, is that when people who are much taller than me try my flute, they always look like they're going to crush the instrument. Like that's how tiny and small and delicate my flute looks like on a regular sized person. I know that on myself in my streams, because you guys don't really have that much of like a, you know, like a reference for how tall I am in these streams. It looks like a normal sized flute on me. But on other people, my flute looks like it's going to be crushed. If you feel like when you play a Brandon that it is just too small, I do highly recommend that you try a Haynes. You may find that it has all of the things that you are, looking for, but just bigger and built for a bigger person. So I love all of these differences. I love it. Because I believe that having more choices and more different brands making different things for different people makes the flute so much more accessible for more people to play. Now, accessibility, I definitely can say that, when it comes to this this level of custom flute, definitely some people are going to be thinking like, oh, well, like, what do you mean accessible? It's custom anyway. But, both of these are custom flutes, and they have basically on paper almost the exact same specs. And yet you can hear and see from my comparison of them that they play very differently, and they are built for very different people. So I love that. I love that there are different companies that make basically the same thing, but in different ways. I think that's great because it truly makes it so that anybody can become a professional flutist. Anybody can, because there are different companies out there with different ways of making flutes, and that is beautiful, and I love it. And we need diversity. We need accessibility. We need we need different people. We need different players in this game to make this game interesting. So, all right. I want you guys to spread the love of every flute company out there. All right. Like, everyone's doing their part. It's not truly a competition, amongst the different brands. It is a family. It is a family with different people need different things, and they are providing those differences that people need. I'm glad you guys see it my way. And I'm really trying to make it I'm trying to educate more people to know, because a lot of people will ask me, is this brand better? Is that brand better? I feel like I just demonstrated to you guys now with this stream that there's no real better. There's only, does it fit you better? It's not really better, okay? Both of these are custom flutes. And I can tell you, because I did get my flute recently appraised, they're the same price. They're basically exactly the same price. Okay. So, it's just so cool. I love that this is just so cool. I've been wanting to do this actually ever since I did an in-person, do you guys remember a really old video of mine? Like, we're talking real old, like 10 years ago old. I got to try flutes with Powell. Powell was doing a showing in Seattle, and the sales representative, did, I didn't tell them what flute I had or anything like that. He ended up matching me to a Powell version of this. This is another custom Powell version, same exact specs, exact same spec, 14 karat rose gold with silver mechanism, exact same thing. Like, he and I didn't even show him what flute I had, and he ended up matching it pretty much exactly the same thing. So I think that's one thing that I would really love to revisit in the future. I'd like to also do a similar comparison like today with a Powell version. So Yes, Daniel Sharp. I wanted to say David, and I was like, it's not, his name is not David. Daniel Sharp. Wonderful gentleman, and he did appear in that video of mine. So if you guys look way back, just like, you can even search up like Powell or something like that in my videos, and you'll find it. But that video, like making that video and having that experience with him, really made me realize, like, this is interesting. You can have the same exact specs, but you know, different companies make the same specs of things for different people. And I think that is so cool. So anyway, I should stop yapping. I love you all so very much. Please stay happy, healthy, and safe. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. Next week, we will have a slightly earlier stream. So not on Thursday, but we'll have it on Wednesday. And it will be with the 2 other flutes that are in that box over there. I believe, just to give you guys a little cliffhanger, okay? We will be reviewing a Burkhardt, also one of this level of flute. All right, so it will be a Burkhardt and a Powell. So those 2 flutes look very similar to each other. So that's why I kind of paired those off. And then I was like, what do I pair with the Haynes? And I was like, in my head, I was like, but my flute. And I was like, really? Do I really pair it with my flute? I was like, no, people will want to see this because I want to see this. So anyway, Burkhardt and Powell for next week, next Wednesday. Look for that to be scheduled sometime soon. If not scheduled tomorrow, then I will schedule it on Monday or Tuesday. All right. So mwah, mwah. Love you guys so very much. Please spread the love of flute families and brands. All right. And celebrate each other and celebrate each other's, flute purchases. I love you all so very much. Stay happy, healthy, and safe, because there is no music without the musician. Laters. Bye.